I've been chasing Nigeria's quest for a commodities exchange for nearly 25 years. Of course, we spent north of that trying to set up a functional commodities exchange. Of course, if you're old enough on the market, you remember the days of the Abuja Commodities Exchange and all the furor that brought between the then Nigerian Stock Exchange Management and the proponents of the Abuja Commodities Exchange, and then, of course, when it became the Nigeria Commodities Exchange, and the road we've traveled. Quite a very long, tortuous road, bringing us to where we are today. So let's get this conversation. Why agri-commodity-based commodities exchange is important in Nigeria's economic and financial mix. The CEO of the Lagos Commodities Exchange, the newly planned Lagos Commodities Exchange, is live to us from our studios at the Nigerian Stock Exchange in downtown Lagos. Akin Akeredolu, good morning. It's good to have you here.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, boss.
Thank you very much. Yes. As bitter as this may be, we need to piggyback a little bit to our quest for a functional and viable commodities exchange. And I'm sure you've been on the market for a number of years, for a couple of decades, so you understand the road we've traveled.
Yes. I think we've come a long way, and Yes, and you know that initially we focused on the secondary markets. So we're now looking at the primary markets, really. The commodity market is supposed to have been thriving long before the secondary markets should have been thriving. But the good thing is that a few commodity exchanges are coming up. And if you look at the GDP of Nigeria, agricultural produce contributed about 91.5% to the last quarter, though it slowed down last quarter by 0.5%. And also the agricultural value chain is also the major employer of labor in Nigeria and West Africa, almost talk about 60%. And if you now look at them connecting to the government's policies, you know, if you look at the ARGP, one of the major points in the ARGP is the issue of agriculture. And the federal government is creating enabling environments, and the only good thing is for the private sector to tap into these enabling environments. We have various policies that have been put in place by the federal government, and we need to be able to take a position from a private sector point of view. We have the Bank of Industry's role, we have Bank of Agriculture's role. Now, the other part is, how does the private sector participate in this space? And the commodities exchange are going to be able to take a very good position on that, assist in capital creation in particular, and create liquidity into that market, which is very, very important, bossing.
Yes, but again, we cannot, you touch a bit on that, but I want you to expand the role of everyone here. What's the role of the government, as it were, in setting up a commodities exchange? Of course, we remember the Abuja Commodities Exchange. It was fully supported by the government back then. There were plans to privatize that and all of that. What role do you think the government plays? Because the business and the Ministry of Agriculture is there with the government. So how do we get the government to be an enabler here for a functional commodities exchange?
Yeah, you see, the government will play a major role because the government is supposed to be the key enabler. If you go to, there's a particular corridor that has been enabled in the part by the federal government called the Lakaji Corridor. You see, the Lakaji Corridor comes all the way from Jimbia all the way to Lagos. And that is supposed to, you know, assist in the movement of commodities all the way from Jimbia to Lagos. And we also have the issue of, hello, Boston?
We can hear you very clearly. Please go ahead, Akin.
Okay. So now, for example, the Lakaji Corridor has been put in place by the federal government over the years. And now the Lakaji Corridor is supposed to have things like warehouses, cold storage houses, dry port warehouses, air cargo warehouses, and grain warehouses, which will facilitate movement of goods along that axis from the north all the way to the south, from the south all the way to the north. Now, the major issue is the products being generated by Nigerians and the populace. How do we inject liquidity into it? How do we build up capacity for the people that want to play in that particular space? In that particular space, you have, if you look at the value chain, you have the producers, you have the processors, you have the bankers, and you have the bankers, you have the insurance sector, and you have the people that are going to evacuate the products out of Nigeria. Now, what the federal government has done is, the federal government has created a space whereby the cost of borrowing is reduced, access to funding is good. But the major issue now is that the off-takers, how does Nigeria now link ourselves to the global demand market? Now, for us to link ourselves to the global demand markets, it means that we have to comply with the global regulations and the global tenets. So one of the things that we have been doing is to engage on certification institutions. Because without certification, we cannot export our products out of Nigeria. I'm sure that you know the story of the yam that we exported and I was returned back. The certification institutions are very important. We require fresh laboratories in Nigeria that will be able to certify this product before exports. So some of the products that we export now are always being sent, the samples are always being sent to Ghana or South Africa. So we need a very vibrant lab in Nigeria. We must laud the effort of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, but we need more labs in Nigeria. And for federal government to have put on the agenda on the ALGP that agriculture is at the forefront, you will see that recently Nigeria has been said that we are fully import-oriented even on agricultural products. We want to be able to move from import-oriented to export-oriented. Though we have about almost 200 million people in Nigeria, and we have enough capacity to offtake what we're producing. But if what we want to focus on is how do we diversify Nigeria's mono-income economy from crude oil alone to agriculture, then we have to scale up activity of the people participating in this space, particularly the farmers, the level of warehouses that we have, the sophistication of the warehouses, are they global standards? And also of very important, of great importance is the issue of logistics and preservation. Logistics plays a very big role in the pricing of commodities, movement of products from one place to the other. Now we have the Nigerian railways there that the government is midwifing and it's coming up very well. And then the intermodal roads are coming up very well. And also the other parts of haulage are are coming up very well. Apart from the logistics part of it, there you now have the regulation. We used to have regional inspectors in the past and local government inspectors in the past. The government will still have to come up with the regional inspectors and local inspectors. And for warehousing, in other countries, there is the Warehousing Act. The Warehousing Act is always linked into urbanization, whereby the warehouses are located very close to urban locations to make it easier for evacuation. So the federal government's initiatives are very, very laudable. And what we're just trying to key in from the private sector point of view is how do we convert these enablers that have been given to us and maintain it at the private sector, because we are the people that are supposed to drive these processes, which is one of the things that the commodity exchange is doing.